keeps saying, ride a speed triple. Here we are, folks. 2015 speed triple non-R. Unfortunately, this is the regular. What's going on here? The regular speed triple 94. The beautiful thing about this bike is it's got the arrows. It's got the arrows on it. Burbleton, Mr. Burbleton. That sound is epic. People have been telling me, ride the triple, ride the triple. I've done all these other naked reviews and everyone says you've got to try the speed triple. And I thought, yep, you know, you're absolutely right. I've heard so many good things about this bike. Straight away, incredibly comfortable. I could literally ride this all day long. I could literally ride it all day long. I'm going to have to open the visor for steamage. Apologies. But yeah, it's really comfortable. I mean, this is not a brand new bike. It has covered 2,000 miles. Good thing about that is you can give it a bit of the old, a bit of that without worrying too much. It's got a good punch of torque. That is what, it's got more torque than the S1000 single I rode the other week. This is definitely more torquey. This doesn't have quite the top end of the S1000 though, but I'm loving it actually. I mean, like I say, this is £9,500. I believe the GSX S is around that sort of money also, 9.5, just under 10 anyway, for the non-fared version, the naked one. This is obviously British. This is Triumph. This is British. So would that sway my decision in buying one? Yeah, it's nice to think you're buying British. It's a nice feeling to think you're bringing back into Britain when you buy your products. And yeah, I wouldn't sacrifice the bike and buy the bike I didn't really want just because it was British. But I think if it was a real close toss-up, then I would perhaps go for the British built and manufactured bike. Da, 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 da. Pegs are nice and low, bars are nice and high. My back is more or less upright on this. You're not really leaning forward much at all. It's got a very upright position. Very upright position. Wheelie's a piece of piss. Absolutely so easy to wheelie. So easy to wheelie. Oh, that is nice. On the power first gear. So easy. It does feel quite heavy. I think it's over 200 kilos, I believe. I'll flash up the weight. But yeah, I think it's over 200 kilos. It doesn't feel like a light bike. Certainly not when you're going slow. But that does make it incredibly stable feeling. When direction changes, it's, you know, you've got to give some leverage on the bars to make it. You've got to counter steer it a bit to make it change direction. It's a big old bike. It is a big old bike. But I don't mind that. I'm a big old chap, so you know. Oh, it's all wet here. Bloody rain, come to ruin my fun. Get off, Leaf. Bloody weather at the moment is absolutely shocking. British weather. It's not cold, it's warm. Why can't it be cold and dry? I'll be happy with cold and dry. I love that noise. It's worth buying one for that noise alone, to be honest. That noise alone is worth the price tag. Also, I'm not a lover, talking of noises, I'm not an absolute lover of the Triumph whine. That, you can probably hear it coming out in the video, but whenever you hear a triple, a speed triple, or a street triple, they've all got that triple whine. I'm not a fan of that, really. It's not too, I think I'd need the end cans on it to actually drown out that whiny noise. But that makes up for it. That does make up for it. Don't know how much a set of those arrows are, but they're worth every penny. entertaining. One thing I've noticed, it won't start unless the clutch is pulled and it's ready to start. You can't rush it, but only start when it's ready. You can't rush her. Oh god, we're on the old slippery shit again. It's like off-road on the Supermoto all over again. Wet leaves. I'm scared. I'm scared. I really like the position of the bike. I really like the torque of the bike. I like the power delivery. The way the power comes in is really nice. It would be nice to have a little bit more top end on it. It is lacking a bit. I think it's only 130 horsepower. So it is down on power by 30 horsepower or so than the S1000, and down about 20 on the GSX-S. So it's a little bit down on power, but it has got more torque. And I think for a naked, I think torque makes more sense than power. It's not as mental as the KTM. Nothing is as mental as that bike, but this is a absolute bargain in comparison with the KTM. The KTM is an absolute monster hooligan bike. I would not want to ride that bike without the electronics on. Whereas this doesn't need electronics. It's got a sensible amount of power without trying to kill you. You don't need massive gentleman balloons to ride this bike. It's really quite easy to ride, and gives a. Like I say, it's a shame the roads are wet, because I really would have liked to have tried hanging off it a bit more. The only other downside, I think, is the weight. It does feel a bit heavy. The thing which stands out for me about this bike is the levels of comfort. If I had to say one thing about it, it would be that. The highlight of it is the comfort, which sounds quite boring, doesn't it? I could get myself a bloody Goldwing if I just want comfort in a bike, but as a package, you know, you've still got everything else. I mean, even on these wet roads, you can find. I can tell that it's quite soft, the suspension. It's not too hard. I think it's quite forgiving suspension, which is what you want on this sort of bike. It's exactly what you want. I may have to get me one of these. I like it. I like it. But I can see why people rave about these. I can see the attraction. I can really see the attraction. It's the original naked, isn't it? It's the original large capacity naked. And it has still got. It's still got it, even today, against the most modern stuff. It's still got it. It doesn't feel that. Only thing it's slightly heavy. Apart from that, it's as good as the new breed of fresh bikes coming out. It really is. Triumph have done just enough to keep this up there in the naked world. Gear indicator would be nice. I don't know why it hasn't got a gear indicator. One. These days, not to have a gear indicator, it's a bit of a crime, really, isn't it? That is a massive oversight, really. Come on, Triumph, gear indicator, come on, it's a must. On this bike, that's your traction control right there. That's your traction control. I'll tell you what, it's sort of nice to know that you are actually in control of the bike as well. You're not relying on systems to run the bike. I mean, what worries me, if you start relying on those traction systems, what happens when they break? What happens when they fail? You end up doing a Danny Pedrosa Marquez situation, whereby you think the traction's on, you give it a handful in these sort of conditions, and you're down the road. Yeah, it's sort of sometimes nice just to know what you're doing and know nothing's interfering, and what you're doing is 100% you and not the bike helping you out and correcting your mistakes. Oh my god, there we go. Oh, I love. I'd like to try the R on a nice dry day, not in this shit. I'm only getting a taste for this really. It's given me enough of a taste to know I want more. It's like when you have a bit of prime fillet steak. You've gone to a restaurant, your wife's ordered the steak Diane. You've been feeling too tight to buy 2 steak Dianes. You've gone for the spaghetti carbonara. Your wife leans across and you say, "Could I try a piece of your steak?" She cuts off the smallest of morsels, leans forward, pops the piece of steak into your mouth, and it tastes heavenly. And you know you've made a mistake. You know you should have bought the steak and you want to come back and have more. Well, that's how I feel with this bike. I've had the taster, I've had the little slip of tender fillet steak, and I want to come back when it's dry and have the full experience. See, that's my only criticism. It doesn't have a massive top end rush. It's all about the torque really. It's almost like no point really revving it past 9 grand really. But this bike isn't about out and out speed, it really isn't, despite being called the speed. I think KTM Super Duke, top of the pile. It's an expensive bike though, you'd expect it to be. Then I think at the moment from what I've ridden, this comes in second, then it's GSX-S, then it's S1000. For me, that's my naked order at the moment. I've got to test out the Tuono. I've got a bit of contact with the dealer to sort out a ride on the Aprilia Tuono. Is it Tuono? I don't even know how to say it, not alone ride it. But we're going to try that. Again, that's another pricey bike. So will that knock the KTM from the top spot? You're going to have to wait and see. Yes, you are. And I've left my pocket open. What a penis.